Right then guys, good morning. Okay, so first off I'm just going to make a quick apology. I've not been feeling great over the last week, so I've not done any streams. I've had a bit of a nasty cough going on, which basically whenever I've tried to talk, it's kind of kicked in, and I've ended up coughing my guts up. It's still lingering a little bit, so just on the off chance it starts flaring up whilst I'm streaming today, I've removed the microphone. I've removed my webcam from the screen, so you don't see me dying on screen. I'll spare you that, and I will also just mute my microphone briefly. So otherwise, just a normal sculpting stream. Sorry. So last time I did the stream for Mike, we sculpted Miss Poppy here. So let me just turn dynamic off. So you can see her on the bottom corner of the screen. I think she's going to be a little bit chunkier around the body, so I will just do that in a second. And then we need to get her posed up, but I'm not going to do the posing until I've sculpted her little pig friend. So main things to get done today are just adjusting Poppy's proportions a touch and getting Strawberry done. Okay, so I hope you're all keeping warm this morning because it's absolutely freezing here. The first day in a long time I've had to go and scrape ice off cars today, which, to be fair, a week into December is not too bad really, is it? But okay, here we go. So this is the bit I need to adjust. So I think we're going to just pull her that's not too bad actually. So those of you on the stream, I hope you're all keeping well today. Weekend full of festive fun, I hope. Maybe you just need to chill out and just have a relax, because that's where I'm feeling at the moment. Let's just pull the right now. The skirt isn't finished; it's not shaped. So I do need to deal with that before. Before we get into like the whole, oh go away, really? We're on stream for a couple of minutes and we get the YouTube sex bots out already. Right, there we go. So she looks sweet and innocent and adorable, but she has got a knuckle duster stuck in her handbag, in a shopping basket. So she will mess you up if you get on the wrong side of her. So now I've tweaked her proportions and got her sorted out. just need to get this pig made. Our feet are quite small and dainty as well. I think maybe they need to be a little bit bigger for the image. That looks and feels a little bit better, I think. Okay, so now we're going to make strawberry. Hopefully, Red Straw Baby watches this, Mike. I used to do this lovely little pig some justice. Okay. So I'm going to turn side on first. Okay, so let's just give this some topology. Just going to bring some arms down. Call them arms, or are they just legs? The same at the back, so to make sure I've got dynamic tessellation on for this so they actually work right. Right, now I've got the level of the legs, I just need to bring the bum down so the bum sits flush on the floor too. Okay. Just going to rough in some shape now to this pig. I know it doesn't look like a pig at the moment, but so where all art goes for an ugly phase, and this is it for this one. Use the inflate brush just on the end of his feet, just to make sure his hooves have got some mass. So do we have anyone in the chat today apart from the YouTube Fine Girls bot? I really need to ban from the channel if I can. I think the last time I did a stream on a Thursday it was a complete failure, and if I remember right, it was Thanksgiving, and I didn't realise until much later that nobody was going to be on the stream because of it. Right, so I'm going to sculpt his face looking forward. Bear me a second while I just make a coffee. I'm going to sculpt his face so he's looking straight forwards. And then we have to do some interpretation here because he doesn't really have, he has his nose shape, but then he doesn't have like a snout or anything like that. So using dynamic tessellation here, this is going to make sure this whole form has sufficient geometry to work. Martin, thanks for tuning in. I assume it's Martin, it could be Tracy. Hope you guys doing well. Let's get some rough shape in here. Now form-wise, this guy should be quite simple to do. But he has obviously got quite a lot of fur and stuff going on. There's quite a lot of texture on him. And I don't want it to look like, you know, I've copped out. Make sure you get some proper love and attention. So you can see he's got quite a big chin. So I need to bring his whole head up a touch before I do any more. Should do it. We've got double chin going on here, looking at the indications on the illustration. I'm just going to mask off his face here actually. I'm just going to bring it out, but I'm going to it. Morning bunker. It is indeed, mate. It is freezing. It's been absolutely Baltic in my office this morning, mate. Got the heating on full whack, just trying to warm it back up. No printing going on at the moment because it's too cold. Let's get the office warmed up and get some of these customer orders printed up and out. How are you doing today anyway, mate? First time I've had to scrap cars this morning. We're a bit late running, getting ready for school, so I had to chuck the kids in the car for the school run. And the car needed full-on de-icing before I could actually take it anywhere, so I'd have probably been better walking on foot in the end. So I look a bit like a lion at the moment. Yeah, let me just get these ears in place. Make it actually look like a pig. Yeah, it's not nice, is it, outside at the moment? Is your shed insulated, mate, or are you just you're a fair weather hobbyist? No, you're not. I put this is it reticle board or something like that, like, you know, like the Kingspan. I've got that in my office. And when I fitted the roof, I put I think it was like 50mm Kingspan sheets in between the rafters, and then obviously underboarded it on the inside, so we've got like a plasterboarded roof, and then underneath the floor I put like 75mm Kingspan sheets, so the floor's like a floating floor on top of the Kingspan. You put that like foil tape or something between the Kingspan joints where the two sheets of foam come together. And I'll say a couple of years I've been down here now, like working in the office. It's been absolutely fine through the winter. You put the heating on and it actually stays warm, so it's not like you need to like keep the heating on like 24/7 to kind of maintain the warmth. If you leave the heating on in here, it keeps building and building and building. It becomes unbearable. So we just have like a little thermostat heater type thing. Right, I'm gonna bring his face down, I think. You know, that's kind of sad, droopy look to his chops. Just move his nose line up a touch. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good here, is it? With that kind of well, that kind of thing. My I built a lean-to on the back of my office a couple of months back, and I've only just managed to get around to getting that like properly watertight, so we can keep tools and things in there, and store materials and stuff. But that one's not insulated, so it's it's only fit for storage really. Because originally I wanted to build that lean-to and have that as like my print room, have it as a separate thing, but plans change. So we've got quite a flat head on the top. Let's flatten his head off. Bring his face down into the cheeks. See, back of the head. The back's not too bad, I don't think. Probably need to raise the shoulders up a bit more. Let's fatten him up. Bunker, are you going to the next ChillCon again, are you? Nice. I'll definitely see you at them. I haven't got many shows that I'm planning to do next year, but definitely going to be doing ChillCon. I'm probably going to be at UK Games Expo, but I don't know in what capacity. Because I never did make my coffee. There's me as myself, could be up there. And then we've also got Cursed Empire, who I was there with last year. So there's a chance I might be doing the show with those guys. So I need to get their next stream scheduled in actually, because we're doing the Troger for them. That big ogre monster started last week. So I might be there with them. Because Chris will be coming over from France again, and it's so close to my house it'd be rude not to offer to help. And then we've also got the possibility that I may end up there with Crystal Collapse as well. So the guys from Woodpecker Games in Germany. a lot going on at the moment. Right, that's starting to come together. I don't think I'm a million miles off the shape here now. Definitely got the two chins thing going on. Just flatten his bottom chin down a touch. You say you're volunteering at Chilcon Bunker. Are you going to be doing the any like the painting clinics or any of that kind of business, or are you just helping with the traders and food, drinks, and all that kind of good stuff? Get some meat on these legs. They're not quite right, are they, the legs? Kind of sitting more like a cat at the moment. He's got this kind of adorable clumsiness about him, the way he's sat. Like he's literally just fell. Like he's fell over and he's just gone, I ain't getting back up again. Let's get this coffee on. Let's move that thing. So I just had to mute then, so the coffee machine was like getting very loud. You had fun on the last one then, Bunker? I got terribly lost on the last one, like trying to figure out how to get down to the school entrance and stuff. Oh, it's such a faff. all this roughness you can see all over the model at the moment. This is not staying. This is just me building up form and shape and just trying to figure it out. Trying to get the best. I'm going to put some little layers of fur on the back of this dude's head, just for a little bit of visual interest. Also makes it look a bit more rolly as well, like, you know. Good look for a pig, isn't it? So what I'll do is I'll use some of this rough texture, or this like the marks and stuff like that. I'll show you what I'll do actually. I'll drop the resolution down a touch, dynamesh it with polish on, and you'll see how it's taken off some of the texture but not all of it. And the bits it's left me, I think actually it's quite usable. So I can work with that and adapt it, sculpt onto it, and job's a good one. So I think that's going to be the plan. The last time I did no, not last one, but the time before that, Spud didn't drink at all. I even tried to buy him a pint, he was having none of it. Hey Rich, how you doing, mate? I'll be honest, man, I'm feeling rough still. I feel like I'm fighting off coughs constantly. I don't know if you may have noticed it, you may not have noticed it, but I've muted a dozen times so far just to get a cough out without deafening everyone. Carway, thank you for the like, mate. Hope you're watching still. Hope you're keeping well, sir. And Alessandro, thank you for the like also. How are we keeping today, Rich? Let's try and shape this little pig hoof. Oh mate, the kids have both been ill. Like before I was. This started for me probably Friday, I think. A couple of streams last week. I was working my way through them. I could feel it was coming on. I mean, I'd kind of like, you know, having to clear my throat and getting the coughs and stuff going on. And like I said, the two kids at school, like both of them. We've had Jacob had a little bit of croup. He's had 2 days off school this week. Willow's kind of on the back end of it, so she had it first. Obviously, she's brought it into the rest of us. And the only person who's not suffering is the wife, but she's been a teacher for 15 years. I think she's immune to all the germy little kids. So you know, she's been there, adds a lot, so I've had her kind of badgering me going, do a COVID test, do a COVID test. I've done a couple of them and they're all coming back negative, so it is just a really crappy cough. It's got to that point now, you know, where like you cough so much you've pulled all of the, or I've pulled all of like the muscles between my ribs and stuff. So every time I do cough, my chest is just like racked with agony. It's horrible. Right, we've got 1 foot in, well, back feet are in. Let's clean up that toe touch. I was sat sculpting last night on the sofa, and I was doing my little Santa dwarf for my diorama that I was talking about on the stream last week, and I was dragging in a few assets that I made a couple of years ago from the old dwarf ranger I did. The guy with a crossbow and a cloak. Not one of my best models, but you know, he ain't too bad. And I got to nicking his boots basically to start. Use them as a starting point for the boots on Santa Dwarf, and I realised how rough my sculpting was on the original. Do you know what I mean? Like, not really thought that much about my past sculpts, but going back and revisiting, like, even just a piece of a sculpt, and I was looking at it kind of cringing a little bit, thinking, God, this is like, you know, this is rough stuff, man. But I suppose that's development, isn't it? You get better at something and then you can criticise your past self then. Yeah, there we go, that's like that. Yeah, did I ever show you that goblin pimp I made? It's going back more than 20 years, I think. Oh guys, if these like prompts keep kicking up too like regularly or whatever, let me know, because it's the first time I've tried doing them. I've set them up on like a bot thing, and I'm not confident in my settings. Yeah, do you know what, Bunker? I actually downloaded a picture of it last night when I was doing some other bits. Let me just grab it and I'll show you. It was one I sculpted in green stuff years ago for a company called Magnificent Egos. Here we go. Oh, no, that's not it. So they were, I don't know if you remember Magnificent Egos, but this was this was a 28mm miniature that I sculpted probably 20 years ago now. I did that, which makes me feel really bloody old. No, it can't be 20. It's maybe 15. No, it probably was actually, because it was about the stuff I did for Chris at Cursed Empire when I was doing his range of models. That was like 17 years ago. So that's the old Goblin Pimp model. and then there was another one as well that I made. This guy, I think this might have been the actual last model I ever sculpted in putty before I moved to green stuff. That was done using Procreate, which, if you've never used it, oh no, he got his pimp stick, mate. He had got his pimp stick. I'm going the right way or the wrong way? He definitely got his pimp stick. It was hang on, getting into all sorts of stuff now. There's nothing. Yeah, you can just about see it. It's got a rubber duck as a cane topper. The stick just goes down the other side. So, yep, he had his pimp stick and everything. It was like a voodoo goblin pimp. It was a weird combination, but I enjoyed doing it. But yeah, the second guy, this was this one here on screen now. He was the last miniature I ever made using actual clay. So that was and again Procreate. So if you've used green stuff, I don't even know if you can get Procreate anymore, but if you've used green stuff before, for like conversions and like filling gaps and stuff, give Procreate a go if you can get hold of it, because genuinely it's much nicer to work with than what do you call it is green stuff. It's just a nicer it's got a nicer feel to it. It's not so I don't even know how to describe green stuff. It's got this weird kind of bit too plasticky kind of thing. You know what I mean? But like kind of, green stuff has this like bounce back, where like you drag the putty a little bit, and then it wants to kind of like spring back a little bit, so you kind of have to go a little bit further to kind of make it happen. It's only very minor, but when you're working with it a lot, you notice it. But the Procreate doesn't have it, so it's a lot more obedient to what you're trying to get it to do. And I just know for me, it was my you know, I preferred using that by a mile. Give the little piggy some eyes. Excuse me, guys. While I'm working on it, so I'm just gonna try and import my Christmas Dwarf Santa. Kind of show you what was going on with him. Oh god. Doesn't want to download that, does it? I'll just can that. I'll come back to it later. a good old strawberry. Oh, it's time to turn off. Oh, no, turn back on symmetry for his nostrils, and then I'll turn symmetry off. Right, there is something wrong with the proportion of his face. He looks cute, but he doesn't look like the drawing. I think his eyes need to be a touch smaller. Just a little bit further away. And then his nose is the wrong shape. It's 2 points at the top. It's not quite triangular enough. Flatter on the bottom, and then like that. That is pretty good, I think. Just going to get the shape right around the outsides. Yeah, so it's always nice having those little bits of reflection where you look back at your old stuff like that. It's good to see how far you've come. The only thing I really regret is that I had tons and tons of like greens that were sat around in my office, or my old, like, you know, hobby areas. That I either threw out because I didn't like them, or like gave away. It's not that I don't think they'd particularly be worth anything or anything like that, but like, you know, that kind of, that bit of reflection to look back and say, actually, you know, this is where I started, this is what I used to do. Have you guys managed to like keep like really old models that you've painted and stuff, or have you kind of like sold them all on and like lost them from your collections? Right, I think get a ring in his nose, and then it's time to start texturing. Where's the ring? There it is. That pig's so big the ring was engulfed by him. Nice one, Rich. Do you ever look at your? Do you ever look back at them and kind of have that little bit of that moment of actually I'm pretty proud of where I am now, kind of. So if you don't, you should, because it's. Yeah, I did the same, Bunker. I didn't move around a lot, but when I did move, I did lose loads of stuff. And then when I was, I think I said before, like, but when I was 17, I was at college. I got my first proper girlfriend. We were together for like 3 years. During the 3 years, we were kind of like pretty much inseparable all the time. So she went off to university. And then, I think it was about a year in or something like that, I kind of realised I hadn't got time for like the hobbying and stuff. And I ended up selling all of my collection. So I had like a Skaven army, I had a Vampire Counts army, Blood Angels, Eldar, Tau. I had loads of stuff. Loads of different armies. And yeah, basically I sold all of that stuff, as well as all of my like bits box and everything. You know, made myself a lot less than I should have done. So yeah, I think I sold it. I sold something for 200 odd quid. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was my Vampire Count army. There's probably about a grand's worth of stuff in there. And I sold it for like 200 quid. In this massive, great big, like, you know, carry case and everything else. And the guy who bought it had my bits box off me. And I didn't think anything of it. You know, I was kind of like getting rid of a collection. And when we split up, like I said, we've been together 3 years when we split. I ended up kind of like sitting there. In fact, it was before we split, because she went off to university, so I was only seeing her on weekends. I needed something to keep myself occupied during the days. So basically, I regretted getting rid of all this stuff, and yeah, ended up kind of getting back into the hobby again, buying loads more armies and things. But I still wanted to customise my models, and that was why I ended up sculpting, because it was like, you know, I didn't have my bits box anymore, but I could still sculpt parts on. I got my hands on some green stuff and all that kind of business. I'm not going to fur him up entirely. I'm just going to kind of I'm going to give him some fur, but I want some smooth areas so you can kind of get some painting blends going on. Oops, that's not supposed to be there. So this bugs me, this does, when you see like so many models I see, they use this stock alpha for fur. And I can spot it a mile away and it annoys the hell out of me whenever I see it. Like you'll see, like anytime I sculpt hair and fur and stuff, it's all pretty much like this really, you know, it's all like hand sculpted in. It takes a little bit longer, but I prefer the look of it because you get that, you know, you can customise it and make it look how you want it to. There's nothing more irritating to me than seeing stock alphas just like slapped all over the place. I don't even know if I've still got it myself actually, but let's see if we have. I'll see if I can demonstrate the one I'm on about. And you'll tell me if you've seen it yourself. Bet you have. Fold. Might have binned it. The thing is, it looks like a nice little fur brush, and if you were literally doing 1 or 2 tufts, it would work. The problem comes when you're trying to do. Yeah, I think I canned it. I think I got rid. The problem comes when you're trying to do like a whole model using like 1 or 2 different fur clumps, because you basically end up with this something that's quite a natural thing, that, you know, fur, something that is, you know, in its very nature a natural thing, ends up looking very artificial. I don't like it. Did I just turn into Andy from Little Britain then? Yeah, do you know, I'm gonna have to just go and quickly find the tool and show you, because it's literally the minute you see this, the minute you see it, you'll spot it. So I'm gonna go to Cube Brush, because this is if you're into like digital art and stuff, this place is brilliant for like resources and stuff. But they do like photo reference, they do STL files and stuff like that, but they also do like stuff for video game stuff. So a lot of the stuff you find on here actually is not really useful to you if you're trying to do like something that's sculpted. But if I go to software brushes, I want a 3D. Go for Zbrush. Oh, there you go. There's one. You guys seen that before? And then the other one was not that one. I think it's this one. Yeah, see these like these little clumps of fur like that where they come out in threes and stuff. But you can see like it's just too uniform when they do it. And personally speaking, I just don't like the look of it. It's nice in theory. Like, yeah, like. It's nice in theory, but real hair and real fur doesn't really behave like that and doesn't work like that. And they tend to, like, once they've got one they like, they use it everywhere. And you just end up with these, like, everything just looks clumpy and weird. And I don't want. I could pull up a few files that I know use it, that that other people have sculpted, but I kind of don't want to do any like naming and shaming kind of things. But yeah, you can get all sorts of stuff on here, and it's a really good resource. But yeah, that particular fur, like, you know, really kind of like grates on me. And I say it doesn't take an awful lot to just follow the forms. Just see what I'm doing here. I'm just using like literally just like strokes. So I'm just going to do that across the thing, and occasionally I'll just do, you know, bring one back up so you've got like a little bit of variety in them. And then we'll do a few inward ones, carve a few strokes in. And so to me that just feels more natural. Just need to get a wider brush now, just to kind of add a few. Break this mass up here a little bit. Yeah, you're right, mate. You're right. It's hard. It's hard to do random. I mean, here's an example for you then. So just as a random one, just because this one amuses me, and the wife's going to kill me for it. But like we've been doing all this like PTA stuff for like the Christmas fair at school and stuff, because she's on the she's the what do you call it, the treasurer for the school PTA. So she's been doing all these things, and she like keeps roping me into like helping with them. We do like this thing called like they have like 100 envelopes or something like that. They pin them up on the wall, and then you come and you pay for an envelope, and there might be a £5 in it, there might be a £10 in it, or there could just be like vouchers for, you know, a free go on one of the other events there. And yeah, basically she says, right, randomly put this stuff into an envelope. So I'm like, alright then. So I got the whole pile of like tickets, and I shuffled them all up, and I literally shuffled the whole lot, and then I got all of the envelopes that were all numbered 1 to 100, and I shuffled all the envelopes, and I just went bang, 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 bang. And she goes, right, well, anytime you put a £5 note or a £10 note in, you need to put that envelope to the side so we can account for them all. I'm like, okay. So as I was putting the £5 and the £10 ones in, I'm taking them out and putting them to the side. And we got to the end, and she goes, it's not random enough. What do you mean it's not random enough? It's not random enough. You know, I've literally shuffled both the envelopes and the tickets, and then randomly shoved them together. And she's like, yeah, but you've got like 27 and 28 have both got tickets in. They've both got like money in. I'm like, so it's random. You know, random can mean you can have a small sequence of things that go, you know, in a sequential fashion. You know, it doesn't have to be. It's like, oh no, you need to make sure there's like one there, one there. Well, that's no longer random, is it? Because you're now telling me where to place these random objects. It's no longer random. So, you know, I think you're right. It's not in people's nature to just literally go random. And I mean, I'm not randomizing. I'm using forms as like a guide, if you like. Undo that because that's too high up. And yeah, I suppose, yeah, I mean, there is a possibility that AI could do that kind of stuff. I mean, they haven't really started with the AI on 3D things yet. Yep, you're right. I always found I still think the shuffle features on the iPods, they used to like play songs you tended to listen to anyway. Like they were kind of, although it was random, they were kind of like, I don't know if you do it, like I have my playlist on random, and I'll be like, I'll skip this song, skip this song, skip this song. Yeah, I'll listen to this one. So even though it's on random, I'm still selecting what I want to listen to, even though it's a random track. And I think Apple rather, probably figured that out a long time ago, that that's how people behave. And they tended to give you the old, you know, here's something, it's random, but we think you probably like it because it's from, you know, stuff you're normally listening to. And the problem is, like, when you're trying to create something like fur and things like that as well. So, like, I know again we're talking random, fur, fire, all these kind of things. There's randomness to them, but actually there's a reason they form and they fall how they are. So, like with this pig, for example, the way the fur is, you don't want to completely randomise the fur because, like, there's directions it grows in different parts of the body, and in different areas it will grow in a different direction, it will grow different lengths and all this kind of thing. So if you randomise everything, you're actually going to end up with something that's just like, you know, not what you want at all. So there's that fine line of kind of, let's say, using the form for inspiration and then doing a little bit of, like I'm doing here, just, you know, just changing the direction and stuff like that, and full on randomness. So I still want it to look good, do you know what I mean? I mean, yeah. I mean, going back to music. Like, I have my my Amazon Music library. There must be about 2,000 odd songs on it. And any time I make it play on random, I can almost guarantee the songs I'm going to hear. I want one of those moments, you know, when you kind of sit there, kind of going, "Oh, I haven't heard this in a while," and, like, you know, you have that little bit of, you know, reconnecting with an old friend kind of thing. You want that kind of feeling. But I just seem to get, like, you know, things we normally listen to. Like, I've got loads of stuff from loads of different artists on my music lists, and, like, I can't tell you the last time it randomly played Phil Collins for me or something like that. You know what I mean? Morning, Adeline, how you doing? Oh, did I ever send you that stuff? Actually, I know you contacted me. Did I set you up on it or not? I can't remember. I have to check the conversation on Patreon, because I know I know you messaged me. You messaged me when you'd signed up to let me know it was you, and I said I was going to add you onto something. I can't remember if I did. No worries. So my nippers, they're always taking over the echo dots, and playing, like, you know, they both love a little bit of Ed Sheeran and Panic at the Disco and stuff like that. So that, like the stuff that it tends to play for me is like along those same kind of lines. Oh, you, me both. You missed the beginning of this stream where I was complaining about not being well for the last week. I've had this horrible cough which has been going on since about Thursday or Friday last week. I think if you saw my streams towards the end of the week, I was kind of clearing my throat a fair bit, and as the weekend's gone on, it's just developed into this like god awful bloody cough that's kind of like, I just can't shake it now, and my chest is just racked with agony because every time I cough I've pulled all the muscles in between my ribs and in my chest. And like, this is the first stream I've done since like Friday last week or Thursday last week. Yeah, Thursday, because I was supposed to do one on Friday and I cancelled it because of this. But it's the first day. Mike asked me if I'd be able to do one today because he wasn't streaming. If I could pick up on Poppy and Strawberry. So I said I'd do it, but I said it might be an ASMR stream with no camera and no microphone. But I've compromised today. I've said, like, I've taken the camera off. So, like, if I do end up having a coughing fit and having to, like, cough my guts up, you haven't got to watch me do it on screen, and I can mute the microphone. So, you know, spare you guys the discomfort of that. But I've been sculpting through the week, like, you know what I mean. I've still been working, but like, talking has been a major trigger for what's setting off the coughing. Even now when I'm talking, I can feel it kind of like, you know, growing at the back of my throat, ready to like give me a kick in. Speak of the devil. Right, so there we have one little hairy pig. Let's put some hair up on his legs. This bit's going to take a while because it's just, I'm literally just like doing all this manually, with no symmetry on, so it'll give us quite a nice natural look to the figure when he's finished. And I'm just alternating between like inward strokes and outward strokes, so peaks and valleys. No, I don't blame you. Do not blame you, odds. I'll have a little check in after the stream's done anyway, and I'll have a look on the Patreon, see where we're at with you. If I do owe you some stuff there, I'll make sure I send it over. I think I might have done it though. I think I was on the ball with it, but I'll say if it was back end of last week, I was medicated to the eyeballs trying to. I know you shouldn't, but I was doing like my paracetamols and ibuprofens and stuff like that, and then also slamming it with a whiskey, just to try and like help numb it. I'll be honest, I ain't felt so drunk in ages. It's very clear why they tell you not to drink with tablets and stuff. Are you after the bauble? I haven't put them on my website, have I yet? I need to redo them. I've got to get those baubles. What do you call it? Lightened up a little bit. I weighed them when they were printed. I weighed my one that I've got sat kind of in my office. It was like 85 grams or something like that, which is like, you know, it's quite heavy. A normal miniature is probably 3 or 4 grams in resin weight. So just to give you like the, you know, the context of how much that actually is. It's quite a significant weight to it, do you know what I mean? So I'm just going to try and just thin out the outer layer of the baubles so I can kind of create a little bit of a weight saving on them. I've got my next Christmas mini planned as well, which I started working on last night. Talking to the guys on stream last week, came up with this idea. We're basically going to do like a little mini diorama with like a little dwarf Santa sat down having a glass of whiskey or a glass of sherry and a mince pie, and then 2 little gnome artificers cracking away making the toys for Santa, with a little caption on the bottom of the plaque saying, why does this daft bastard keep calling us elves? Right, let's get some fur up on his legs. I haven't got any reference on this little guy's tail, so I'll just do him a proper little cute curly pigtail. Oh god. Right, just while I've got a bit of a cough building, and I might actually just deal with this say quietly off microphone at least for a second. I'm going to try and import Santa again, so you can see what's going on with that. Right, I was going to mute a second, give me a sec. Guys, sorry about that. That was a bit of a cough to get through. Right, so you can see on screen at the moment. This is Dwarf Santa. I made last night. So he's going to be the centerpiece of my little Christmas diorama. Obviously, I may have to give him a a proper dwarven hammer. Make him into like a kind of an artificer type character. I think could be quite cool. So he won't just be a comedy character. We'll make him into a proper mini for the release as well. Okay, back to the piggy. How do you like him, Rich? What am I looking at there? What is... Oh, I know what it is. It's her, isn't it? He's so big. He's swamped the halfling at the moment. Oh, speaking of, I actually started watching the Rings of Power on Amazon the other day because I needed to have a steaming hot bath to try and like soak out some of this like chest pain and stuff. And I nabbed one of the little ones Kindle tablets and watched the first episode of Rings of Power, and I have to say, for all the people who've been knocking it, I actually really enjoyed it. Doesn't feel quite like Lord of the Rings yet, but like I really enjoyed the you played Shadow of Mordor. I really enjoyed that game, but it doesn't feel like Lord of the Rings. And Rings of Power kind of feels like that to me. It feels the same. I know it's the same universe, same world, and all that kind of business, and the references are there for like Sauron and Galadriel and all that kind of stuff. But actually, it doesn't feel the same as the books and the TV and the movies and stuff, but it's still, I think, a good watch. You know what I mean? Guys, if these prompts are annoying you, if they're getting to be a bit too frequent, make sure you let me know. Okay. These promo reminders and all that kind of business coming up in the chat. They are just on a timer, but I weren't sure what kind of time intervals to put in there, and it seems to be random at the moment. Hey, Red Straw Baby, how you doing? What do you think? How's Strawberry looking to you? I watched the first couple of episodes of Willow. A little bit disappointed. The wind was knocked out of my sails with it a little bit. I liked some of the characters. By the end of the second episode, I do want to watch more, and I kind of feel like the episode 3 and 4 or episode 3 at least, really needs to step it up and make, and you know, build on what they've established. And it's still got potential. I'm not writing it off, but it was definitely not what I was hoping for. I don't think Warwick Davis is a terribly good actor. He's it feels to me like he spent too much time hanging around Ricky Gervais, and like Ricky Gervais is being channeled. You know, it's almost like it's like a fantasy episode of the Office. You know, like where he's trying to teach her how to do the magic and stuff, and he's like, what's that face? Why are you doing that face? It's like, you're doing that face, am I? You know, that whole exchange. It was a bit bizarre and surreal. It's probably what would happen in real life, but that just made me kind of. It just took me back towards the Office. Do you know what I mean? That was all it was. What, she actually thought it was like the Office again, or a bit of Ricky Gervais in there? Because they're mates, aren't they, in real life? And I can't help but feel he's rubbed off on him. Yeah, again, last this week, was it? I think it was this week. Yeah, beginning of this week, I was feeling sorry for myself, and like, you know, I had a I wasn't well, so I thought I'm not going to rush to work. So I had a rest day to kind of like try and shake it off and everything else. And I lay on the sofa with my blanket and my cuppa, you know, like a proper poorly boy. And I binge watched the 2 episodes of Willow that were there. And then at the end of it kind of goes, oh, maybe you'd like to watch this. And it was Willow, the actual movie. And I was like, you know what? Damn right I do. And it was so much more enjoyable than the 2 episodes I just watched. And I don't know if that was also another thing for me. You know, having just literally watched the movie again makes you like rethink how far from what they've done. Oh, and Kit. Can't bloody stand her. What's going on with her? Why have they got all these people with like English accents, and then they throw in a character who's supposed to be like related to one of the main characters, and she's full on American? You know, you can't just do that as a. There better be a good backstory for that, because otherwise someone in the casting department just needs a good slap. No, I haven't seen episode 4. I didn't even know it was out yet, to be honest, mate. But is it not great then? Hey, Red Straw Baby, I've got a question for you on this this lovely piggy. The tail. What are you thinking for the tail? I think I see, mate, I see. Yeah, I'm enjoying Borman. Borman's a nice proxy for Val Kilmer. I think he's quite a good character. Small and curly. Let's try it. See what we can do. Let's see if this works. Let's go with that. I was going to inflate the tail up a touch, just so it's not quite so, what's the word, like freestanding, if you like. Let's make it self-supporting. Oops. There we go, Retro. What do you think? Nice curly little pigtail. Let's turn his head now. In fact, I'm gonna move him off. No, I need to do his harness first, don't I? Right, what's going on with his harness? Rich, what do you think about Kit then? Do you think, are you feeling the same as me with her, or like she doesn't fit in? Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with different characters having different accents, but like when your accent is so very drastically different from your mom. Oh yeah, of course. Let me just move her out. At the moment, Poppy's standing off to the side, so. There you go. So there's a bit of a scale difference, as you can see. So let me just address that now. I feel like that's probably about the right size, is it? Let's just put Poppy next to Strawberry. Yeah, round and kind with a knuckle duster in a basket, so she will mess you up if you mess with her. So there's a little basket of goodies with the leeks and the cheese and the radishes and the bread and the knuckle duster. And then I kind of felt when I was sculpting her, she's got a bit of a Daenerys Targaryen type vibe. So next thing for me to do is I'm going to pop let's turn his head first, or her head rather. Oh, this is going to annoy me now because I've just sculpted all that fur, and I'm going to turn the head, and it's going to deform. And it's not going to. It's going to have to be re-sculpted then. Let's just mask it off in stages. Excuse me, guys. Is Willow even a sorcerer, though? If you're honest, isn't he just kind of a? I know in the film he does a little bit of magic, but it's mostly kind of like parlour tricks, isn't it? And I kind of feel like they've never levelled him up from his parlour tricks, have they, so far? Like even the stuff he's trying to teach Laura in it is about, you know, growing a little sapling so we can, you know, make jam. And again, I know that's kind of like the joke there, if you know what I mean. But right, so a couple of questions kicking around here now. Let me just have a little catch up and read. So bunker commissions. So typically, something like this where concept art is provided, you're looking at about $450 a model. So that's like pound sterling. There's a design charge if the designs aren't provided. So essentially with sculpting, one of the things you'll find is like I can do this. I am thinking about the design. I am kind of having to engage my brain for it just to make sure I'm figuring out the best way of doing it. But if I've got to design the character from scratch as well, then there's a whole extra layer of like brain power it takes. And then what we tend to find is there's a bit more back and forth with the client as well. So it's going to take longer because the design has to kind of be approved, whereas obviously if the design is provided to me, then the design is already approved and all I've got to do is sculpt it as we agree. So it's what do you call it? It's a bit easier to work with. Well, it's much easier to work with a kind of a pre-approved drawing because I can just crack on and get it done. So I was chatting to a mate of mine, John, last night. Excuse me, let me just mute a second. Oh, sorry guys, I need to spare you that one. Right, yeah, I was chatting to my mate John about it, and like I said, there's a lot of sculptors out there who will do like models for a lot cheaper. Like you'll get, you know, say $200, you'll be able to get an actual sculpt done. The bit you're missing is that these guys they're digital artists, but they're not miniature sculptors. You know, they're making miniatures, but they don't understand the medium. You know, like they don't print them, they don't paint them, they don't. Like while I'm sculpting, as you'll no doubt be aware, one of my primary considerations all the way along is how would I paint this? You know, what techniques are going to be used? What's the best way it's going to what's the best way to paint it? And also knowing now that people are using contrast paints and this slap chop nonsense and whatever else. The name is nonsense, by the way, not the technique's viable, but slap chop, come on. I know it's a meme, but so yeah, so like the whole thing is just it's just missing from that process. So when you're looking for people to do these kind of bits of work, you need them to be able to kind of understand the end purpose or the end goal, and if they don't, that's the bit that's usually missing. Balls. What's going on there then? Oh, thanks, Red Straw. Yeah, it's not been fun, if I'm honest. It's been a nasty bit of cough, but with plenty of like lemsips and stuff keeping me ticking over. And I had like a home brewed honey and lemon thing going on the other day, which was absolutely great until I ended up with like proper indigestion at the end of it because of the like the acid burns. Is that the elbow coming through there or what? Do I need that piece? No, I'll delete that. Yeah, my mum's into all these like natural herbal things, and like she phoned me up the other day, and I was telling her I was feeling a bit crap, and she sent me a little list. So she's proper like, she's like one of these what do you call it, herbal witch doctor type people. She's well into it. So she sends me a big list saying echinacea, olive, garlic, turmeric, vitamin D and K, vitamin C, zinc, and quercetin. Oh, yeah, cheers, Mum. She seems to have got very, very much into her a kind of alternative remedies and stuff. Let's just position further back so I can get a hand behind Strawberry's ear. Gotta go and see the little one's nativity play this evening. So Hayley's already been to watch it yesterday daytime. He said it was brilliant, but I'm gonna take it for an evening performance tonight. So I'm hoping I can medicate myself enough to get through the whole thing without ruining it all by coughing profusely through the whole thing. Right, let's just get her fingers wrapped round. Now there was a whole there was a doctor I was listening to a while back. My wife's had all these. She's had all these stomach problems for a long time, and this doctor basically says that, I can't remember his name now, but he was basically suggesting that modern medicine is too segregated. So if you have a problem with your stomach, for example, you go and see a gastroenterologist, and they will look at your stomach, and then if they don't find anything, they'll write it off as like IBS. So you go to a neurologist because you've got problems with your head, or, headaches or whatever else. You go to see a neurologist, they just look at your head, and all these various different specialists, they're just looking at the one thing. But the reality of it is that your body is like a finely tuned machine, and if one thing's out, it can throw all sorts of other things out. And the example I like that he used was it was about like the physiological effects of stress on your body. He was saying, like, in most cases, if you've got some problems like what's it called now, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, that kind of thing. So like if you've got that, he said the problem with that is that you have this this fight or flight response. So when you've got anxiety and anxiousness and you're stressed, you've got this fight or flight response kicks in. So when you eat, your body needs to break down the food into kind of like a usable format. And if you've to be able to process like the nutrients and the vitamins and all that kind of good stuff out of it that you need, so your body's got to kind of do all this processing. But what's actually happening is your body's gone into fight or flight mode because you're stressed. So if you've just had a big roast dinner, you got a belly full, and then a tiger comes strolling out of a bush at you and goes, "You look tasty, I'm going to eat you." You're not going to go, "Too full, go ahead, help yourself." Your body kind of switches gear. So even though you're feeling like sluggish and lethargic and tired, like you just want to kind of digest your food, and that's your body basically saying, we're going to focus all our attention on breaking this food down and getting all the nutrients out of it. It says, so your body suddenly goes into fight or flight mode. It's going to divert all of that energy that it's trying to spend breaking down your meal and making it into usable energy. It's going to take all of that effort and refocus it on getting away from this new threat. So, and it sounds like nonsense in terms of what he was suggesting, but it actually worked. So he says, cut out the digestion process. The bit that gets stopped when the fight or flight goes on. He says, cut it out. Get a juicer and you juice a load of stuff, and then for about 6 weeks, just supplement anything you're eating with juices. And you're talking like vegetables and fruits and everything else. Just mash the whole lot together, and it's different colours and different kind of like types of veg to get the maximum kind of like spread of nutrients and whatnot. But it actually does work. If you're ever feeling like really rubbish, or if you got any of these kind of like IBS type cases, try doing like a juice supplement to your diet. Don't go and buy juices, but like actually make them yourself. Get a juicer and just like juice fresh fruits and veg. You know what's going in there. And then it gives your body that kind of kickstart, because what happens is you feel crap, so you feel anxious. You have anxiety around that because you don't know what's wrong with you. And then feeling rubbish makes you feel worse as a byproduct. and then the you're in this like vicious cycle, then in this like never-ending loop of, you know, what do we call it? You know what I mean? So break the cycle, get out of the loop, and you know, you're in a good position to. Oh, is that back again? Delete that. Yeah, you're in a good spot then to kind of be able to kind of break away from it and ooh. Yeah, and I'm sure I got rid of that elbow. Oh, you turd. Come on. You watch, the elbow's going to happen again on this side now. Oh, what's going on with her hand in the basket? She's not holding it, is she? So, okay. Let's do some finger moving. Got to go on record right now saying I hate posing hands. Such a laborious ball-like of a job. What was we talking about before we started yapping about alternative medicine and stuff now? Oh, Willow, wasn't it? Yeah, I do think they could still probably save it, but... Oops. Hey, and the YouTube bot is back. So if anybody wants hot girl pics for you, don't click the link that's just been posted in my YouTube channel, please. Not unless you want to be scammed just before Christmas. So Red Straw, you been frozen out yet? Is it like... Because it's absolutely freezing here today. And ice scraping off the cars and all sorts of things. Are you up in Scotland, if I remember right? Let's get this straightened out. One degree C, nice. Let me just check and see what my office is up to at the moment. Oh, I'm on a comfy 20 at the moment, but it was in the car this morning. It was -1, so I don't know where we're at now. According to my computer, which obviously is based on like Met Office records, I think we're at 2 degrees at the moment. I need to reorientate our arms so I can actually get this. this basket in place, because as it stands at the moment, there's just a bit too much. Yeah, everyone always jokes about Brits talking a lot about the weather, don't they? But I think it's because it knackers us up so bad. Dude, you want to get an oil heater? It's ace. They're not even that expensive. I was looking at when I was building the office, I was thinking about putting one of these like infrared panels in. Because I was recommended it by an electrician friend, but they were just very expensive, and I couldn't quite bring myself to do it, if I'm honest. Yeah, I have the same, mate, as well. I've got a couple of blankets down here as well. My nipper was down here the other day when he was off sick. He came down and kept me company in the office because he wasn't very well. He brought his Oodie down. So my mum bought the kids these Oodies for Christmas last year, and they're ridiculously massive things. And they're too hot for most of the time. Like, they look like mega cozy and comfy kind of things, but it's like he's wearing a tent. He reminds me of, like, you know, E.T. when he's wearing the hoodie. That's what it kind of looks like when he's wearing this massive thing. Let's make sure the basket connects to a body, but isn't like clipping into it. So that, I think, is actually pretty good. Right, now we need to do legs. So the front foot I'm going to leave where it is. Let's get this positioned. Oh, prepaid meters suck as well, mate. I haven't had to deal with one of them in a long time. So now, oh, nice one, mate. -5. You're winning, but when Red Straw Baby kicks in, like I say, I'm pretty sure she lives up in Scotland, and I think she's gonna kick all our asses on cold weather top trumps, if I remember correctly, at least. Snow, there you go, guys. Is it Scotland you're living in? I thought I weren't going mad. Got 100 quid in there. It's crap, ain't it, bunker? I remember years ago, like my ex, her mum was a nightmare with her money and stuff, and she was on like the prepaid meters and stuff. She had a job and she went to work and everything, but like we'd go around to visit and end up coming home kind of like 50 quid light, because we'd gone round there and she'd be sitting there in the dark with the lights off and everything else, because she'd run out of money and she didn't have anything to put in the meter, so we'd end up kind of like subbing off of the things. But she was a proper chain smoker as well, and we go round there like a day or two later, and she's back to the same, you know, still having no electric and gas or anything else, sitting there in the cold and the dark, but with a, you know, a well loaded stack of cigarettes in her hand. And she spent all the money we'd given her for the what do you call it, for the gas and electric. She spent it all on cigarettes. Is that the Udis? Is that what they are? A similar kind of thing, I would imagine, if not. But they're mad, them things. My mum's bought us these this like electric, like faux fur blanket things. So yeah, Udis are crazy. Red Straw. They've got the my kids have got them. My mum bought them for them for Christmas last year, and they are like, they're too hot to wear for like most of the year, but like they are the warmest and comfiest like things ever. But they do get to that point where you kind of like, oh god, it's a bit too much. You know what I mean? You'll be well snug in that. Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. It's hard to do stuff in them as well, because like my again, my kids, they've got them, and like they're so huge and enormous, they just drown you out. So like he's sitting there and he's got his arms in there and he's like, he can't eat his dinner. He's okay playing on the Switch, but only just about. So like certain things that he just wants to do, you just can't, because the let me save this before I do what I'm about to do. Yeah, it just gets in the way because it's just too bulky. Nice. It turns out my last coffee cheated me out of half a cup by the look of it. I've got this habit of like slicing my coffee pods open and decanting them into a bucket, so I can not have all the coffee residue water in the bottom of my bin. Yeah, but you might accidentally overheat and what do you call it, dehydrate if you're wearing that and you fall asleep. Do you ever do it when you're wearing something really warm, like an hoodie or a onesie or something like that, and then like you fall asleep in it, and then you wake up a couple of hours later and you're just dripping with sweat, and you kind of like, get it off me, get it off. I was going to brew a coffee, guys, so I'm just going to mute the microphone a sec. Okay, and back. Oh, turds. Let's see. I'm just going to just auto grouped and then dynamesh this so I can get it all coming back together. Guys, could you guys all do me a little bit of a favour as well? I'm setting up a little page with links on my website. So kind of like, you know, the Friends of Lion Tower, if you like, kind of thing. So I want to put like things like your hobby blogs and web stores and anything like that you've got. So Red Straw, Bonker, anybody else who's on who's got that kind of stuff going on, if you just send me a DM with your channels and stuff on it and links and things, so I can link back and share the love a little. There we go. Right, I need to sort her hands and arms out. I think I've just taken something in there that I wasn't supposed to. Yeah, turnip, there we go. A radish. Let's group them. Redo my... Oh, you're most welcome. I was going to redo that. I was going to just come in, I was going to sculpt in the knuckles and joints and stuff. I'm going to fill the hand in there because that's that's just going to be an absolute pain in the arse later if I don't. these fingers finished off, and then we can get on with the cart. Right. That's annoying me. I can see pixelation all over the back of Strawberry's neck. Just going to do a little bit of moving. So this is good. This is good practice in like any kind of art, but rather than getting too attached to any little bit of detail that you've created, you kind of need to be willing to sacrifice it and redo it. So again, like here with the hair, the fur. In the past, when I've done stuff like this, cheers, Bonker. Yeah, my focus would have been on trying to preserve the stuff I've already sculpted. So I'd have spent a long time trying to figure out a way to pose with minimal disruption. And then it's detrimental to your workflow then, because you don't get anything done. But actually, if you just kind of accept that the art part of it is a destructive process, well, destructive and reconstructive, you know, you break it to build it back up again. If you just accept that it's part of the workflow and get used to doing that kind of thing, it'll make you a bit more confident with stuff as well. So, and that goes for 2D art, the 3D art, painting models, the works, you know what I mean? I need to merge her torso into her neck, and let's get her ears in there while we're at it. Oh, no, I've only got the ears. Right. Let's sort that out. move the arm into... Oh, no, not that bit. Oh, this one. Just save this. Quite happy with this one so far. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, get it cleaned up. You don't want cat eating paints. That's not going to be a turd you're going to want to clean up out of the litter tray later. Or pink and sparkly. Actually, it might be an improvement, to be fair. I think if I did have cats, I'd rather be cleaning up pink sparkly turds than the standard ones. Clam poo. Poo jazzle. Let's just bring that to there. Just trying to close a few holes at the moment just to make it a little bit more amenable for printing and painting. Your cat stole you print a USB stick. How's the dog doing, Rich? Is his condition improved now? Is he up and about mobile doing your head in, or is he still feeling sorry for himself with his cone of shame? More importantly, what have you got on your printer, mate? Anything interesting? How about you, Bunker? What you hobbying on at the moment, mate? Ah, nice, mate, nice. I was actually thinking about, like, we're doing my Minecraft. My nipper watched a Minecraft video the other day, and it was some guy called something Charlie, I think. I can't remember what his name was, but he'd made this mushroom kingdom where he basically built this massive, great big oak tree kind of core with all these like little platforms going off it and stuff, like all these vines hanging down and like grassy bits and things. And he ran off and put his Minecraft on and started trying to build something similar. So he's got all his like little the mushroom house thing in his brain. So he goes off and starts just trying to build mushroom houses all over the place. Then it's nice actually. He keeps going back to it. It's you know, with kids they got like, you know, they like to just get on with different things all the time. It's nice that he keeps revisiting it. I think it's a bit like Lego for him, isn't it? Minecraft. He gets me to help him sometimes, but I don't know what I'm doing. So rich Slaneshi looking lady demons and necromancer types. Hero Forge NPC. Nice. Tell your DM to just start using my NPCs. Forget the Hero Forge. I've done loads. You find what you want in there. Bunky, you got the city guard going. Very nice, mate. Very nice. Can you use Wi-Fi in there? What, you send your prints via Wi-Fi, do you? Oh, what are you doing? I'm on a stream, are you? Is that what you're getting at? Here we go. Let me get a little screenshot of these two little darlings and send them on to Mike. Sure, you'll be absolutely buzzing to see it. There you go, you'll be happy with that, Mr. Michael, I'm sure. Off the screen. Well, that's why I can't find it. Then we're looking in the wrong place. Bonker, do you print at the moment, or are you just working off physical minis? She reminds me of she's got facially here. She's got a definite little bit of Daenerys Targaryen before she goes all like mental. Before she goes crazy and starts, like, you know, becoming a wrong un. I was going to check outside a second because my finger's updated to say snow's on the horizon. Yeah, we've got beautiful blue clear skies outside, so Mate, if you're telling him to browse my store, make sure you tell him to sign up as a patron so he gets his discount first. So I don't know if you've seen that annoying message that keeps popping up in my chat, but all my patrons get a nice hefty discount off resin and off what do you call it? Yeah, that's it. Mother of pigeons. I like it. Let's save that then. Right, so next on the thing here is to do this like this cart in the background, the Poppy's Place cart. So I might just rough that out now and start getting that built. So the two characters are done, so that's called Poppy. Although they're gonna have to be printed together because I might do a separate version of each and then do one where they're brought together. Poppy, strawberry. Very nice, mate. Very nice. I'm writing an article at the moment about printer selection because there's Juju Voodoo 27. Thank you for the follow. I missed that. Sorry. Must have been in the zone. Thank you for joining the stream. Yeah, I've been writing up an article about kind of what to look for when you're looking into printers, because basically there's a lot of confusing terminology out there at the moment, and so I had a chat with Chris, which kind of highlighted it to me, and then somebody else had the same thing, where basically I had told Chris to get when he was getting production models ready for Essen to make sure that the production printers were done in a there we go, there's the prompts, were done in 4K format, because he's seen what I'm doing on my what do you call it, Epax X1 4K and my Frozen Sonic Mini 4K, and that's basically all you need for getting like super quality miniatures. But if you go for something like higher spec, like an 8K printer, like the Sonic Mini 8K, it's almost just like showing off. You know, when you get these people and they've got like, I don't think it's so much an issue anymore because a lot of the games do it, but I remember there used to be like people would get these like mental graphics cards that were kind of like, they were far beyond any of the kind of the gaming tech we had, and they'd spend like $4,000 on a graphics card. You don't need a $4,000 graphics card to play a game. You know, you can do it on a couple of £100 worth of graphics card, but it's bragging rights, you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. But obviously when I told him make sure it's on a 4K printer, he goes off and he goes and asking about the things, and he gets these guys to kind of do the prints for him, and they're like, yeah, we're using a 4K printer, and then he tells me what the printer is, and it was like a Saturn, and I'm like, that's fantastic, except it's the wrong 4K. He's like, what do you mean it's the wrong 4K? It's 4K, it's what you said. But obviously the Saturn is 4K on a 10-inch build plate, whereas what I was referring to was a 4K on a 6-inch build plate. So the 4K on a 12-inch build plate is the equivalent pixel size of a 2K printer. So it all gets very complicated anyway, but I'm just writing a whole kind of blog article to kind of help, you know, people who are kind of getting into 3D printing for the first time. You get something where you can kind of go off and yeah, that's the one, mate. Yeah, I don't know what I've got in mind now. Can't even see. Can't remember. It works. That's enough. I don't know what the brand, what the spec is, but it might be a 48. But yeah, yeah. So basically, like the 4K, 8K, all of that stuff is basically just like a smoke screen that confuses people. So what I'm recommending in my thing is to ignore that and check out what the XY resolution is. So Z resolution is like your layer height. So you set that in the slicer and you can do it. You know, they're all pretty standard. Unless you're dealing with like an FDM printer, and then the layer height is a little bit, it's a bit less free, if you like. But the layer height, the XY resolution is the important thing. So when you look at a 4K printer, like the Sonic Mini 4K, they've got a 35 micron pixel resolution, pixel size. So if you look at the 4K Saturn, it's got like a 55 micron resolution size, I think. So that 55 micron pixel is going to give you a noticeably lesser quality on the print. It'll still be passable, you'll still be able to paint it and you'll still be able to play with it, but the quality is not going to be quite up to scratch. And then obviously you get the what do you call it? I can't think what it's called now. Yeah, and again, this is another thing I would say as well, is like starting big is a recipe for disaster. So like when you're first getting into 3D printing, get a small printer, the smallest you can get away with. So I've printed entire villages of terrain on my Frozen Sonic Mini X1K1X. Get me words out. Welcome to the chat. They're great bits of kit. They really are. They're really kind of useful for loads of things, aren't they? But obviously, kind of like filling your hobby needs. The problem you have with a large format printer, like the Saturn, like Sean's done on the OPN, he's gone for the Saturn, and it's a big printer. It's a 10-inch build plate. So the problem with a big printer versus a smaller printer is the costs and the learning curve. So the example, do you know what? Let me just pull my blog up. Let me pull it up and I'll show you what I'm writing, because it's probably easier to illustrate with the examples I've actually written. Is that it? No. Okay, so let's get the online store blog posts. Right, so basically I've been doing this little bit of this is like a preview of the blogging draft at the moment still. So basically, like, I've done professional production miniature printing on a top end 3D printer since 2016. Basically, I've been doing it for a lot of other people as well as myself. And the printer I use for that is a DLP printer, but it's got a pixel resolution of 37 microns. So the Anycubic, any kind of like models you've ever had from most companies are printed on one of these kind of printers. So when you see these like nice resin models that you're buying from, hey Mike, how you doing, mate? Hope you're liking the progress so far. Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, the Elegoo Mars 2 is... excuse me, mate. Apart from the quality cuts that they make to kind of like get the printer like to the lowest price point possible, the Elegoo printers are pretty good and are great entry level printers, but you do have to tweak them a lot, and there's a lot of like build plate leveling and stuff you have to keep doing, because I really dislike the ball joint spring loaded ball joint thing that they use on them. I much prefer like the Frozen Sonic Mini, where they've got a solid build plate with an auto level sensor. So yes, basically like these are the issues I've identified for you with the largest format printers. Mike, you're a lucky man. I had one a while back, and they may have improved it in over time, but basically the ball joint on mine was loose, only a little bit. But what happened is when I was printing, if I had something large on one side of the build plate or something more bulky on one side of the build plate, so like say I've got like a load of soldiers on one side and I've got an ogre on the other side, the suction force on the ogre would cause the build plate to pull to the side. So halfway through my print, my build plate would end up on the piss, and the whole print would fail. And it used to be kind of a significant issue, and it's what keeps me away from like the Elegoo printers now. And I say with the Anycubic ones, I've never had Anycubic, the Frozen one. I've never had any issues with it. My Epax one, never issues. You know, I've never had to deal with them again. Did it once about 3 or 4 years ago, and that was it. So yeah, so replacement screens is one of the issues you're going to get with a bigger printer. So you go for something like the Saturn as your first printer. Let's say you go for the 4K version of the Saturn. I'm using Sonic Mini as an example here because I had the costings for it. But new screen for a Sonic Mini is £95. The Sonic Mighty, which is the 10-inch version, that's £235. And then the Mega one, which is like, I think it's a 15-inch plate, £422. And obviously they're consumables, so the screens will go eventually. You've got to change them. And what it's going to come down to is when you have to change that printer, you're either going to be throwing it out because you can't afford to do it. In which case, you know, if you spent like Mike says, if you spend £200 on a printer, it's going to cost you £100 to put a new screen in. And you've got to go and do a load of electronic work to kind of like wire it back in. You've still got the option at that point of chucking the printer and getting a new one. So, you know, that is a viable option at that point. But when you've got a £235 investment or a £422 investment, the printer at that point is costing a lot more. So it's not as disposable. So you've got no choice to either have a redundant printer that you can't use, or something that's got a massive investment in the like the upkeep on it. And if you're not doing it professionally, where you're earning money from selling prints, that's a big commitment to make from a hobby point of view. So that's one of the considerations that I would warn people about with the larger printers. Second one is damaging your screen, which when you're learning about your print, you're going to get fails, and if you get a fail, you need to diligently and religiously clean out that resin tray, filter your resin, and remove all of this excess. Because if you leave any little bits of hard resin in your vat, when the build plate descends and comes back down to the level where basically it should be touching the screen, if you've got a little chunk of hard resin in the middle, that little chunk of resin is going to get pushed into the screen, and the point loading is going to put such a high level of force through that little dot of resin, it'll end up cracking your screen and breaking it. And it's very easy to do, and I have done it in the past myself, and really annoyed myself because I've nerfed the screen, and you've got no one but yourself to blame. But I would much rather do it where I've only got to spend £90 to replace the screen versus £420 or £230. So the fact that you can accidentally kill your screen as well as it wearing out in time, that would keep that is another reason I would, you know, warn people who are new to 3D printing away from a bigger printer. Then we've got print fails. So here's a picture of a print fail. The one at the back here you can see completely tore off. I stopped the print before it finished, so that's why they're all flat here. But the guys at the back here, they ripped off the supports. So yeah, emptying the vat, mate. You've got the vat, and they've got this FEP at the bottom. Yeah, the Mars 2 Pro, mate, because they're an older printer, it's a 2K screen. They used to be like 45 quid for a screen on them, and I think, like, say, 30 quid now. They're an easy one to change. So, like I say, keep it cheap while you're learning, and then level it up when you level up, if you like. But yeah, basically what you have is, let me get a picture. So there's your vat for the resin. So your resin lives in there. What you've got, this hole at the bottom, there's actually a gasket that goes around the outside on the underside with a load of screws in it. And this clear bit here is actually, it's called the FEP, which stands for fluorinated ethylene propylene. And it's basically, it's a similar material to Teflon and PTFE, except it's completely clear. It's UV resistant, so it doesn't degrade in like sunlight and the UV light that we're going to use for the what do you call it? I forget what I'm trying to say. It's got a low surface friction, so stuff doesn't stick to it, and it's non-reactive. So the chemicals that you're putting in there, like the resin, they are not. The resin is not going to actually kind of like affect the FEP sheet, but it's another consumable. And again, the bigger your printer is, the more expensive these FEP sheets are. So when you have to change it, you have to kind of, you know, you have to spend the money to kind of buy the right kind of stuff. So yeah, there is a base, but it looks a bit like a laminator sheet. And when this whole thing was going on to start with, there was people who were talking about using like laminator sheets instead of FEP because they didn't want to spend the money. And I don't know if anybody actually did it, but it would have been a catastrophe if they had, I think. So yeah, there is a base in the vat, but it's a clear one. So you, like I say, even in this picture, you're not seeing it. And then we've got what were the other issues then? So we've got so FEP is a consumer. Oh yeah, hey, no worries, Mike. Yep, no worries. I'm going to get on with the wagon in a minute as well. I'll start that off. So yeah, FEP sheets. Small sizes for like Mike was saying, the Mars or the Photon or Sonic Mini and those kind of ones. 10 to 15 quid for about 5 sheets. The bigger sheets are like 20 to 35 pounds. They tend to come in like packs of 2 and stuff, so you're not getting so many of them for your money either. And then the other one that caught me off guard is bigger is slower. So you see my little diagram here. What basically happens is as the print is lifting, the FEP stretches, and it stretches more in the middle. And as it releases from the outside and then kind of pops off, and you hear like a twang. And you'll get that every single layer. And what happens is the bigger the printer goes, the higher this peak gets, because there's more FEP to stretch. And the higher it gets, the more lift height you need to add. So because you need to add all this extra lift height into it, you're adding extra time onto the print. So again, the example I've got here, like on a 6-inch printer, you're going to have a 5mm lift height recommended. On a 10-inch, you need a 7mm lift height. So if you do 1500 layers of print, which is, you know, typical for a, you know, one of the models I'm printing. 1500 layers is going to, literal just movement time, no exposure time or anything else. 1500 layers is going to add 3 hours and 7 minutes of movement time into your print, which is unavoidable. But then when you move it up to a 7mm lift height, like on a Saturn, you need, for the same print, you then need 4 hours and 22 minutes. So you've got almost an extra hour of movement time because you've got to go those extra couple of millimeters up and down. And it doesn't sound a lot, but obviously it all adds to the print time. And then you also have to add things like light off delay and you know, those kind of things to your prints. So you're going to print. It's going to print. You get more on a printer, but it's going to take longer to print. And then your final issue is the cost of the resin and with your fails. So every time your print fails, you're going to have to throw those prints away. Those prints are covered in resin, which you've either got to wash off or just cure up and bin. So you've got the resin that is consumed in the print, plus the resin that is covering the print that gets discarded. The bigger your printer is, the bigger the items you're going to be tempted to try to print, and the more you're going to be putting on there, which means that your build cost, your fail cost, is going to be at minimum 4 times the value of your fail costs on the smaller printers. So it's one of those things where excuse me, you really need to kind of like weigh up the pros and cons, and a lot of people just go into this blind and they just go, I'm just going to get the biggest printer I can get my hands on. And like I say, it's not the way to go about it, really. You know, you don't want to be doing that. You can, whatever resin's left in your printer, you can kind of totally reuse it. Excuse me. So yeah, when you print the resin, so say you like fill your resin vat, you're only going to use a small amount of resin off each print. You need to make sure that resin vat's topped up between prints and stirred in like pretty thoroughly. I use business cards to stir the resin because they don't damage the FEP, so you can scrape the base and kind of get all of the stuff. Because what you find is if you leave it in there for a while, it separates, and if it separates, it's not very good for printing with. You're going to end up with failures. So you need to make sure that your resin components are all thoroughly mixed and it's all one colour. So if you stir it and it starts streaking, you need to keep stirring it until it stops. So, but yeah, you can reuse it indefinitely as long as you don't expose it to sunlight. So, my mum bought a 3D printer a while ago. She was going to start like 3D printing some stuff to help me out, and she set it up in the kitchen next to a window. And it was an LU Mars, and she lifted the cover off, and the entire build plate just solidified because the sunlight just got to it immediately. It was a bright sunny day in the middle of summer, and yeah, the sunlight literally just insta-cured the whole vat of resin. So yeah, that was a lesson learned for her. So yeah, let's have a little bit of shaping on this cab. So we're going to get a cylinder on the top, I think. So this is just about kind of like finding shapes that work together now. I'm going to be sneaky with this because what I'm going to do, let me just divide this a couple of times so it's got some shape, and merge it into my square. I'm going to dynamesh and polish it, and I'm going to slice the front and the back off. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hollow the inside out. And I'm going to have the base with the axles and stuff like that as a separate piece. and then we'll have the top part kind of sit over the top, which means that you can print the whole interior of the cart hollow, but still end up with a nice solid model. I might even leave the curtains as separate separate pieces, so you can stick the curtains in.
Oops. Right, hang on a second, I've stuffed up here. Let me just merge this back together first. Right, slice. Slice. Group polish. Hide the outside edges, delete the hidden. There we go. Now we've got the roof shape. It's going to mask off the roof. So that for now is going to boolean this out, so I've got a roof I can work with. Basically I'm just subtracting one mesh from the other, so it gives me that. And then the bottom here, oops, let's just make sure symmetry's on for that. The bottom here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down, I'm going to turn it out and then put it like that. Polish it again. Oh yeah, and your curing station, by the way, for resin, you don't need to buy, you know, hundreds of pounds worth of curing station. I don't use it. I have one of these like UV nail lamps. You know, like girls use for doing gel nails. Just use one of them, and I basically then have a couple of clip lock containers of isopropyl. So I have a very large one which I use for, I take the models off the build plate, dunk it into this large dirty tub of isopropyl and just give it a swish around to kind of shake off all of the worst of the resin that's kind of like clinging to the model. From there, with my gloves on, I'll pull the models off the supports. Sorry, I rinse it in another pot which is not quite so I'm just reading Rich's comment, let me see. Yeah, put it in another pot so it's not so dirty still. It's got a bit of a cleaner rinse. Then I pull the models off the supports, you know, just quickly and carefully, and then I chuck the models into a clean pot of isopropyl, so I've got like a 3-pot wash cycle. And then when my clean pot starts getting a bit muckied up, what I do is I chuck it into my, well, I chuck the the second pot into the first tub, put the first tub into the second tub, and then fill the last tub up with fresh. So you kind of maintain that kind of like final clean rinse. But yeah, going back up a little bit to Rich's comment, I think I'd like a dip next. Oh, DLP, sorry. Okay, so what I would say there, dude, the noticeable layer lines and stuff on the occultist. Do you use anti-aliasing on your printer? So for me, again, I'll pop Lighty up and I'll just quickly show you my settings. Just make sure there's nothing on the... Go away. Okay, so let me just quickly show you my settings here. So we go to my 3D printer. I've got the resin there. 2.7 seconds on my Sonic Mini is my standard exposure time. So first thing, layer thickness is 25 microns. I print everything at 25 microns on my Sonic Mini and my Epax X1. With the more expensive printer I've had and all the other printing experience I've had, 25 microns has always been known as ultra detail. And in my experience, lowering that to anything below 25, it increases your print time without actually providing you any visible level of improvement in print. So it's not worth going below 25 microns, and if you start going above 25 microns, you'll print faster, but you're going to notice a lower quality to your prints, like i.e. more layer lines and stuff. So Rich, I don't know if you're printing at like 50 or something like that, which is, you know, a lot of people tend to do because it's like quick and whatever. If you want to avoid the layer lines, don't print at 50, go for 25. So I've got a little bit of light off delay in there just to kind of let the resin settle between layers, and that also helps with any kind of like weird texturing you can get on the print sometimes. You get this little bit of bloom going on if you don't put it on properly. Lighty just make sure your settings are exactly the same, because Lighty's the dog's danglies, mate. If you copy all your settings over from Chitubox into Lighty, from Chitubox into Lighty, make sure everything's there. And before you try and do anything, make sure you've got a 0.3, so it's not too bad then. The only other thing then, once you've got the add a file. Okay, so like here we go. So this is one of my pre-supported guys. So you load the Lighty files in, and what you can do is you can edit all supports. If you use my LYS files, you'll be able to load them in and kind of do support editing. So if you want to scale this guy up or down, what you can do is you can scale him using the layout, make him bigger or smaller, and then you highlight all the supports in this setting and press Alt and R, and it recalculates the supports and replaces them. So all of the islands are still supported, it's still completely printable, but you just use the existing supports to make it work. But when I come to do the export on this guy, so I make sure anti-aliasing is turned to standard, and I've set it onto 8 with a 20% grey offset. And if you've got any of my 3D printed models, any of my actual prints, you'll never find a layer line on them. So I say it's a Sonic Mini 4K, so it's a 35 micron pixel resolution. But another reason for using Lighty over Chitubox is Chitubox uses these vector lines on the layers, whereas Lychee actually uses the pixels, which means Lychee is it's going to be more repeatably accurate. Every time you print it, it's going to be taking a slice and it's going to be working out the pixel size. So like if you look at this here, this is Lychee breaking it down into pixels. You can see the edges here. So you're getting the pixelated edge around the outside, and that's how Lychee deals with it. With Chitubox, it does the same thing, but it creates a kind of a vector for each layer. So your lines are smoother on the outside, but they're also approximated. So the vectorization on it basically just means that every time you do it, it's going to be recalculating the curves and the bends. So if you slice the same file 2 or 3 times, you can get slightly different results to it. Which, you know, you're not going to notice it. It's not going to be a big drama or anything like that. But with Lychee, you know you're going to get repeatable printing. So yeah, don't use the pixel blur. But try these settings in Lychee, mate. I'll share it with you later if you like on the Discord channel. But yeah, anti-aliasing standard, 8 levels with 20% grey offset at 25 micron resolution. You should remove all of those layer lines. And then the other thing as well, the other reason you can get layer lines is if you've got slight overexposure on your resin. So the layers will bloat a little bit, and if the layers bloat, you might get that ridging and stuff still. So it's worth probably run the cones of calibration, and just make sure your printer is like perfectly dialed in. Right, guys, you know what? This I feel like this coffee's getting the better of me now. Like all the medication I took at the beginning, before this stream started, to like help me get through this, is kind of starting to wane a little bit. So, give me a second. I'm just going to go and find a channel to raid, and then drop you guys on somebody. Let's go for Brannigan's brushes. Right. So guys, I'll do the cart on the next stream for Mike. Let me just get you back onto this so you can see everything that's there so far. There we go. So there's the cart as it's currently looking. Yeah, and that's it, mate. If you're doing multi-party stuff, you need it as accurate as possible. I do. I need to stop talking and get a drink and some paracetamol in me, I think. Right, guys. Again, thank you for joining the stream today. I'll be back. Probably not tomorrow. I'll probably be back next week now with a couple more streams. Could probably do streams most days next week. So let me just get you guys rated out. Join on the Discord, and we'll have a chat on there offline this afternoon if you need, if you want to hit me up about anything. Let me just get the God's sake. Just get his channel up. So Brannigan's working on custodes. So let me just go and drop you on for that one. Rich, can you drop Bunker a link for that for us, mate, for the Discord while I just try and stream us out? Yeah, I've got some lem sip and honey in the house waiting for me, mate. That's my go-to. Oh, that's a fail on my part, isn't it, mate? Do you know what? If you go to my Patreon page, mate, there should be a link to it on there.
Right, let me just /raid, isn't it? Right. Right then, guys, I'm gonna mute up and cough my guts up, and I'll leave you guys to it, and I'll catch up with you next week. Okay. Cheers, Rich. Catch you in a bit, mate.